there was some concern, I think that we've tried to address it in our reauthorization, but some that looked at this program, and it's been alluded to in some of the testimony, there was a practice some people called as mill riding, which is that some companies or some startups were getting grant after grant after grant and not ever reaching that commercialization. However, I thought what I heard from Dr. Silver was that his enterprise has received multiple grants from a variety of different federal agencies. He's found it to be very beneficial. So how do we ensure accountability to the taxpayer by allowing these innovators to be exactly that, innovative, searching, getting different grants from different federal agencies, but making sure that we are giving value to the taxpayer, that at some point that effort is either shut down because it's not going to be successful or, encouraged to be another Qualcomm.
We have an article I'd be happy to submit, both from the text of our reports, that it talks about the myth of the mills. Basically, this is an urban myth. There are a very limited number of high-volume multiple awardees. Keep in mind, as the program goes past 25 years, it should not be a real surprise that there are more and more companies with more and more awards. When MIT gets a large number of awards, this is good, just, and right. And indeed, it probably is. When Lockheed Martin gets lots of major contracts, this is good, just, and right. When a small company gets a number of 100,000 awards, there's something wrong. And I'm very much attuned with Jared Glover on this point. I think it's just a question of bias. But the facts are, there are not many of them. They graduate. They are acquired. And by the way, when you have a problem that the Hubble telescope isn't working, actually you want to go to Creary and ask them if they can figure that out for you, given the capacity they have built up by these multiple awards, and they do that job. Mm-hmm. Some of them grow. Some of them are effective contract research organizations. But the question you have to ask the critics is, compared to what? Where else is the government going to get the benefits of the innovation that small companies bring? Where else are we going to have small companies that work so closely with the university, often are directly from the university working with the graduate students? This is quite literally one of the great strengths of the American system, our ability to pull from the public sector into the private sector and solve social problems, solve security problems, and help our companies grow. It is a myth, Madam Chairman, that the mills are a problem.
Dr. Jacobs, did you want to add something, and then I'm going to turn it over to the ranking member for her question.
I would like to just note that Qualcomm, back in the mid-'80s, did receive several Phase 1, and then several went on to Phase 2. So we did have a number of different SBIR awards. Some did not lead to ongoing job creation and new technology, but some did and had a major impact. And so taking that risk, allowing it to happen, not artificially constraining the number of awards being given to a given company, I think is beneficial.
And I might add that this is one of our tremendous success stories. Qualcomm, I understand, paid more than $1 billion in taxes in 2010 alone. That completely funds the SBA for a whole year, the entire SBA for the country. So, Senator, all we need is really like one big success in this program, and it returns all the money we potentially could have lost. So, Senator Snowe.
Well, I'm sure Dr. Jacobs would agree with that. Well, you have unanimously, I think, given strong confirmation and affirmation of why these programs are irrefutably successful and have grown over the years and have contributed so much to our nation's economy. I wish all of our colleagues could hear your testimony here today because it's so important. Is making distinctions from one program to another. Clearly, these are distinctions that everyone would embrace, irrespective of, what side of the political aisle you're on or what your views are about, federal spending. These programs work. And as you said, and I certainly want to make sure that we impart that to our colleagues, but I think that the data that you've given here today and the evidence is clearly substantial, and we'll have to do make sure we impart that to our Senate colleagues when we're debating this legislation.